In this video, I just want to go over the quick steps for building an app from scratch. So the first thing we do from inside the app builder, we click create a new application and we can create a test app. We can always change the name, so it doesn't really matter what you name it. Click create. And then it takes you to the design page. And from the design page, you can either pick one of the templates or you can just pick the blank template. I normally start with a blank template. And once the blank template loads, then you can pick which of the layouts you want to use. And the layout really just defines the menu. And you can always change this again later too. So you'll get this default color scheme, and then you can go in and adjust the colors to any colors you want. From the layouts, we can either click on this. The one we're in is actually called Layout 1, which is this one here. And you can see it by the red around the one that we've selected, but we can pick any of many different layouts to get whatever kind of a menu layout we want. We've got a couple that have the bottom menu style and then have the secondary menu that would pop up from clicking on a button. We've got scrolling. We've got all kinds of different layouts to choose from. And the layout really just defines the way that the home screen menu will be displayed. And then of course the secondary menu too, because you've only got so many slots in a primary menu. Now the sliders typically don't have any of the ones that have a sliding menu. They don't typically have a sub menu, but the ones that are like a menu bar, they will have a sliding, something that pops up when you click the three dots. Or whatever the thing is. So again, if you have these the icons that go up and down, the horizontal type. Most of these will not have a secondary menu. Your actual menu bar will not have a secondary menu, but you'll have a secondary menu when you have one across the bottom in most cases. So anyway, so on with that. So normally I would pick the one I want. In this case, we'll just go with the default, which is Layout 1. And once we do this, we will have an app, but we'll have no features in the app. And then so we could go straight to colors and pick the color scheme that we want, or we can just start adding some features to our app. So probably the best thing to do is to add a couple of features, and then you'll see how they lay out at the bottom of the menu screen. Of course, you can change that later, but until you have some features, there's not going to be anything in this menu bar at the bottom. And so typically, you're going to want some sort of a contact form or a contact feature. So you can select the contact feature if you want that in there. Many apps are going to have a custom page, so we typically will pick that. Some people are in fact, most people are going to want to have a login page, so we can pick a login page. That's the My Account. If you want to push notifications and it's going to be a PWA, you would pick the push list. If you were going to have a published app, you would choose the push notification. Both of these are a message queue and enable the ability to send push notifications, but we do different push notifications for PWAs versus native apps. If you were going to have an app that did both, then you might select both and then have to use some logic to decide which one appears to clients that are using the app. But in this case, it's going to be a PWA, so we'll pick push list. More than likely, you're going to want to have people share the app, so we can click the share app feature. And we have lots of different features we could add, but I think that's enough for a starting app. And so normally what I do, I usually put My Account near the end. And so we've got 4 features in here now. And if we update our app, this refreshes what's on the screen. We should now see features across the bottom. And we do. But as we can see, the colors are not really visible for the icons. And so we can go over here now to colors. And we can select whatever color scheme that we want for our app, or we can just, for the time being, just adjust this. And so we have the colors broken down into different sections, and these different sections apply to different parts of the app or different features in the app or different feature positions in the app. And you can see as you scroll through, we've got buttons, we've got the spinner. The spinner is what you see when you're loading the app. We've got a list and a card view, which is how some of the features lay out their sections. Of course, we have the header, which goes across the top on every page, if the page has a header. And then the home page is the main page that the app loads into when you first open it on the phone. As you can see, the text is like a darker black, and so we've got that written here across the bottom. So we're just going to darken that a little bit, and now you can see those icons better. For now, we're not going to change anything else, but if we go into some of the pages, you can see we've got the white, which is the header here, almost white, and it's got the gray border. We can go in here, and if we wanted to, we could make the border completely vanish, or we could have whatever opacity or transparency level that we want for the color to get whatever look we want. We can, of course, change the color, whatever you want to do here. I'm going to leave it alone for now, but I just want to give you an idea of what that is. And then, if we go and take a look, sometimes you need to refresh. And so you click Update App Preview, and that'll refresh for you. And once that refreshes, you'll see the menu at the bottom. You'll see all of your features that are in the app. And so in my account, you can see here, you've got certain colors. These are your buttons. That's one of your buttons. And so you can see here, that's your button positive color. In your push notifications, you've got this look here. And this is where your push notifications would show and create a message queue for people to go back and see push notifications that have been sent. And if they're on iOS, since we don't drop into the notification bar on the phone, this is where your iOS customers will find their push notifications if they are using a PWA. Anyway, so that covers most of the basics of getting started to create a feature or an app. And then we can just go back into features here. Again, once you have more features populated and you have everything laid out and you start adding images where you want to have images and you want to change the colors to match whatever color scheme you need for your app, at that point you can go back to colors, and we can add CSS to tweak the shapes if we want to of some of the buttons, or rearrange the look and feel of things. And I'll show you where those things are located here shortly. And so at this point, we've just got a handful of apps or features in our app, and we've only got really 5 features. So let me put one more feature. We might want to have some links in here. And what else might we want to have? Let's say a form, just a simple form. So I'll use the form v2 feature. It's just the version 2. It's an updated version of our forms. And again, I'll rearrange these. I just go up to the top left corner of whatever feature, and I can just drag it to the position I want it to be in. Now, if I'm going to lock any features in the app and make some of the features not available to everyone, then I might go down and pick the padlock and add that also to my app. And then that gives me the ability to pick some features that users would need to be logged into if they want to get access to those features. This kind of encourages people to log in. And sometimes it depends on how you want to do it. Some people might choose to hide it from the actual menu so that when you look at what you've got in your app, rather than seeing it in the submenu, like we can do here at the bottom, we could actually hide it from the menu if we didn't care about people seeing the padlock. And the padlock will just still do what it's supposed to do. It just won't show up. So if somebody isn't logged in and they want to get to something, they'd have to log in. Now, if we wanted to, we've got the option here. We could have people log in by QR code if they weren't on a PWA. And then we can also allow all users by default to get to everything, or we can say no, which is the default. We can lock the entire application, in which case nobody can get to any features. If we set this to yes and save it, nobody can get to any features unless they log in, even with this hidden from the menu. It would still force them to log in. So anyway, that's just some real basics on how this works. And then if we want to make modifications to CSS, we've got a lot of other items down here. We can go into our CSS codes, and from inside CSS codes, we can we've got an entire library here that we can view, and we have I'll set it to 100, but we've got about 150, I think, just close to 150 different, 141 different CSS things that we can do. Just to give you an idea, let's say, let's pick a feature here. By default, we saw what the contact form looks like. So we can do it this way. We can do it like this. We can do it without the zigzag. We can choose the CSS code simply by grabbing, scrolling down, grab the code, and then we will copy it into the color section at the bottom where we have an entry point for all of the CSS. So all you have to do is copy it, and then if you want to change it, like if you didn't want these colors the way I have them here, you would just select whatever colors you do want. And all of this is defined, and you just could pick it, not here, but after you put it into the app itself. You can change border radius on buttons to make the corners more round or less round or square, whatever you want. So you've got some options here that you can use to modify the look and feel of your apps, well beyond just what you see in the default. So we're going to go back into the app, back into this. Oh, and one other thing I want to show you in here is if you were going to make this a PWA, you just go to the PWA Creator tab and activate the PWA. Once you do this, you'll be able to put in the background screen that will load. You'll be able to put in SEO tags, all of your different meta tags for the web. So you've got some options here. And then also the behaviors for how you want sharing to work and how you want the screens to look, all of that stuff. So we can activate it here. But that's just a basic walkthrough. The main steps to start your app and create your app. And then if you want to create users that are going to use the app or the users create their own user account by logging into the app, this is where they'll show up. And inside here, if you were creating an administrative user, then you might select this box here after you create the user. And only the users who have this box checked would be able to get to see anything that you hid behind the locker, which is the padlock feature. We have messages, and really this message functionality here is if you are working with your designer and you wanted to let them know you're working on a particular section to keep them from interfering with what you might be doing, you can put a notice here, and when the next person logs into the same app, they will see the message. We have a promote section here where you can promote the web app using this QR code. And you can also, if you define what your app store URLs are once you published, you can put those here, and the QR code could be to take you to those. You could use the link to or something. You have some options. Let's see, what else do we want to show you? In analytics here, you've got a number of different analytics. Of course, we don't have anything in the app, but you can look at the analytics and use those metrics to figure out what's going on with your app and what kind of engagement you're getting and usage. We can define some of our payment gateways here. We have Stripe that we can define. And then you've got terms and conditions. If you want to customize any of that information, you can do it in here for the app. Domains and emails. In this section here, if you want to use a custom SMTP server for your these are all special for features here. But if you wanted to go into domains and emails, if you wanted to go into advanced, you can go here. If you want to go into API keys so that you can integrate with different features, this is where you'd place those API keys for your client. And then, of course, we have these other modules here. CSS animations work a lot like the other CSS that I was showing you. We've got some custom HTML code that you can use to paste into your source code module if you'd like. Customers would manage their appointment calendar from here. The preview gives us the ability here to preview the app on different devices. So we can choose different devices. We can choose a laptop if we wanted. See how the app would look there. Generally, if it's a PWA, you'd probably want to use a desktop PWA. And we have an option for that inside the PWA creator. Or if you wanted to see a tablet, you could, well, let's look at the iPad. We can choose the iPad and you'll see a different view. And so some people even use these to make their screenshots for publishing into the app stores if they don't have another method that they prefer. So you have a lot of options here that you can use. And then we've got loyalty analytics, campaign analytics, and depending on what module, if you're using a property listed module, you have some additional configuration here. And of course, the PWA push sender, if you're using PWA, but we haven't activated the PWA yet. But once you do, you'll then have a screen here where you can add your push notifications to your PWA. So you can send push notifications directly to the PWA. And we also have a URL that you can hide inside the app that only admins can get to, where an admin can actually send their PWA push notifications from right inside the app. So that's just a quick tour to give you an idea of what you can do. Of course, if you were going to publish the app on the app stores, you can go to the publication tab and you can publish your app. You can add AdMob here if you wanted. And then you could also download your source code for the app, because with our builder, you get to have the actual source code and you can give that to the customer if they want the source code. But these are the options that you have. Now, if you were planning to do this in a white label and you wanted to change the bundle ID, not that anybody's ever going to see it, but you can modify the bundle ID here to your own branding if you prefer. Just make sure that you do this before you publish, because after you publish, you will lose access to whatever you had before, and you'd have to publish a brand new app. It would be as if you never had the app before on the App Store. So always change, if you're going to change the bundle ID and package name for your apps that are going to be published on app stores, be sure that you do that here before you publish. Anyway, those, and then inside the application, we've got just a few small settings. Here you change your application icon. You can change the icons in the app for back. Or you can put custom classes in here. This is for your native push notification preview. You can modify here. You can modify the splash screen that shows up when the apps load, that are published apps. And of course, in the PWA creator, that'll have a separate splash screen because those are typically just a simple color and an icon. Understand also that Android is changing, and in the newer apps for Android to cover the latest operating system, latest Android, you will need to have a simple background, because they're going to more of an icon and a background color, more like a PWA really for the Android apps. But that's coming soon. That's not required just yet. Anyway, so those are the features. We've kind of just done a quick tour. Up here, you've got the ability to go back in the dashboard to go back to where you have your list of apps. Here's push notifications for your native push notifications. Here you can do your white label settings. If you want to do white label settings, you can put whatever CNAME, and you're going to point here to our primary server here. So you would decide what your white label is going to use, and you could put your custom or name in here, your business name, enable the white label, put a link to your support link, You can define what your package names are going to have for their base, so it's branded to you, and then you don't have to do them manually. You can enable GDPR if you're doing business in the regions of Europe, and anyone who uses GDPR, or if you just want GDPR. And of course, you can put your own information. Now, here you can also do custom SMTP, and if you enable custom SMTP here, you can put your own SMTP server. Now, I've got an article on this, and you should look in the knowledge base. We recommend using MailerSend, and I've got all the information there you can take a look at for MailerSend. And you can also do it with others, but don't use your Gmail SMTP or just some generic. You really want a bulk mailer, and this is going to be used for sending out any alerts that your clients might use for email, that they want to get notifications on their appointments, on their purchases, and things like that within the app. So I do recommend that you do a custom, or the emails that are received from your clients will come out from the platform. And if you do this at your white label level, then all of your clients' apps will come out using yours. And this can also be defined at the client level per app. So you've got some options here, but if you don't make any changes to this at all, they'll all go out from Apptekz, from our company. So if you want to use branded, then I recommend that you set these options first in the white label, and then for each of your clients that wants to have it branded to them, you can then set up a custom SMTP server for them. Check out the support article we have. Open a support case if you have more questions. We'd be happy to walk you through how that works and what the process is and why we recommend the way that we do. But this is an important thing to think about if you have customers that are using apps that have notifications and they want to receive email notifications. So anyway, we'll go back here now to our app. If we can just click return to the app, and then it'll take us back to the features section in that app. That's the quickest way to get back and end up exactly where you want. And from here, we can go in and start making modifications to the app features. And of course, we can adjust the order that the features are in, and we can go into each one of these features and configure what specific information applies to our client. And there's nothing in there at the moment, but we can just fill all these information pieces in. And then if we apply it CSS, it's going to show up differently over here based on the way that CSS is designed. My recommendation, until you understand the changes and you want to build a certain Loca Crusher app, I would recommend just creating all the feature fields the way that you want them for your client. Get a look at how that's going to appear on the app. And then from there, decide what changes you want to make in the color section and in the CSS. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, so hopefully this is helpful and gives you a basic tour of how to go through the app builder to get started to build your own app. But that's how easy it is to build an app with the Apptekz mobile app builder.